All right, so welcome back to our new grad series. As you remember, my name is Erica, and we have Brooke over here. And today we're just going to be talking about the national boards. We're going to touch on the written part of the awards that you have to take, and also we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A session with our special guest, Derek, about the clinical awards. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Derek.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? My name is Derek Black. I'm actually a recent grad out here in the DMV area, so Maryland, Virginia, District of Columbia area, and I just came on to get a couple of questions answered and hopefully give some insight to you all.
All right, so first thing we want to talk about is how do you want to prepare for the test? First thing that you need to know is what kind of studying habits work best for you. If you work best in a group, then I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of classmates that have no problems gathering and having a group study session with you. Just find those people, put a filler out, and you can get a really good group session so that you all can feel comfortable about all the different material that you're going to see on the boards, because it's a lot of different material. That being said, if you study best by yourself, there's nothing wrong with that either. So just make yourself a schedule. That's what I did. I study best by myself. I made myself a schedule and I studied each subject for a certain amount of time, kind of quizzed myself on it and then moved on. So find what works best for you. After you figure out what works best for you, there's a lot of different resources that you can find on the internet or that you can buy that helps you to study for the boards. They have the demo decks. They have a bunch of different websites like Student RDH and Andy RDH. And Andy RDH actually has an app also that you can purchase that has all the different subjects that you're going to see on the board, as well as practice mock boards and a bunch of questions for each subject. Touching on that, Andy RDH, along with a bunch of other people, have a board seminar that you can go to, and that's really very helpful to me. They cover every topic that you're going to see on the board. They have a lot of really great instructors, and just helps you to feel much more comfortable taking that test. I went to an Andy RDH review, and it was the best experience of my life. I know a lot of people think that, or know that they can be a little bit expensive because you have to travel and find a place to stay, but I do know that the Brown Girl RDH organization offers a scholarship for that. So it would be in your best interest to go ahead and apply for that if that's something that you would like to do.
Yeah, and with that being said, if you're not a student member of Brown Girl RDH, go ahead and get registered, sign up. There's a lot of benefits as students. She doesn't only do scholarships for review sessions, she also does them for just overall paying for any out-of-school expenses or loops. I know she has a really great scholarship. I also went to Andy RDH, and I thought it was a really great experience. I had a lot of fun. And another thing that I'd like to suggest is taking care of your mental health. I have high test anxiety. So for me, I kind of had to come to terms with the fact that I needed a little bit more support. I did do weekly therapy sessions, and there was a point where I had actually failed one of my exams, literally by 1 point. So I remember going to my therapist and crying and oh my gosh, this is so awful. It feels like the end of the world. But the biggest thing I'm going to tell you is it's not the end of the world. If you fail, it's okay. Just get up and try again. I also did work with her to practice a lot of mindfulness activities. So practicing and picturing me going into the testing site, me picturing getting my letter saying that I had passed. So if at some point you can give yourself your own letter where you write your name and what the exam is and the word pass, put it on your wall. I think just staying positive is such a key to this whole experience, because it can be very draining. It can cause a lot of anxiety. Just never giving up though. You might have failed a class in the past, and that's okay. I think for me, one of the biggest things that I tend to learn from is actually my failures. For me, it's significant of okay, what do I need to work on now then? And so I think that's a really great tip.
So you've done all your studying and you've tried to mentally prepare yourself for the test. So the test day has arrived. What do? First and foremost, a lot of people want to study up until they take the test. It's really important that you stop studying the day before. I'm going to say it again. Stop studying the day before. Take that night to relax. Find something really funny to watch, or find something that just relaxes you. If you like conspiracy theory documentaries and that relaxes you, hey, who am I to judge? Live your best life. But find something that relaxes you, and just take that night to relax. Because that's you're gonna be anxious the next day. You kind of want to just try to relax as much as you can. Try to go to bed early. That's going to be very difficult. Trust me, I know, but try your best. That's all I can say. Try your best to go to bed early and try to get a good night's rest. When you wake up the next morning, you want to try to put something on your stomach, try to eat a little bit, because it's a long test. They schedule it for 6+ hours, and it's a lot of questions that you have to answer. So you want to make sure that you go in with a little bit of food on your stomach to make sure that that's not something that you're going to be worrying about while you're taking the test. One thing that I did when I was going to take the test, number one, I didn't have any caffeinated beverages that morning. That's just going to make you even more anxious. You're already going to be shaky. I'm going to tell you that from personal experience. You don't want to add to it. So try to avoid caffeinated beverages if you can. Also, I knew that there was like a locker that they were going to allow me to put my stuff in that I would be able to access during the breaks. So I brought a bottle of water, I brought some snacks, and I brought some Tylenol just in case I got a headache, because it's like 400 questions. It's a lot of reading. There's a lot of things to process. So I wanted to prepare for every inevitability while I was there. So just kind of try to be as prepared as you can. And another really important thing, take all of the breaks. Take them all. Don't feel like you have to power through everything. Take all of the breaks and focus on each question. You can read a question, and then if you don't know it off the top of your brain, bookmark it. You can come back to it later, because you can get to a point where maybe another question helps you answer that question. Or what I like to tell a lot of people, whatever is the first answer that pops in your brain, if that's a choice, pick it, because more likely than not, that's the correct answer. Be confident in what you know, because you've spent your time studying. Be confident in yourself. And after thinking about all of those things, don't worry about what your other classmates are doing. Don't take the time to feel like you need to compete or compare yourself to how your classmates took the test and how much time they took to take the test. It's all about you. Worry about yourself. Worry about how you're taking it, because how they're taking the test doesn't have anything to do with how you're taking the test. So just make sure you focus on yourself and be super positive about the entire experience.
But also just taking that time and realizing that you're not going to know every single answer. Mm-hmm. While I was taking the test, like I started off, and the first question, I was like, oh shoot, I don't know this. Okay. But instead of letting myself go down the rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, I don't know this, that's okay. Like Erica said, bookmark it and move on, because you're not going to know everything. And just taking however much time you need, focus on yourself. What Erica said is the most important. I know my best friend and a classmate, it only took her 3 hours to take the exam. So when I went in, I knew it wasn't going to take me 3 hours. For me, it took me close to 7.5 hours. And that's okay. That's what I needed, and that's what worked for me. The other thing is making sure that you stay positive. As you're taking the exam, you're going to start to feel tired. You're going to start to feel a little drained. You might beat yourself up a little bit, and that's not where you want to be, but you just have to stay positive and just kind of keep going and just keep trucking along. Also,
that's definitely something I was concerned about.
Yeah.
I know.
So now after the exam, the first thing you want to do when you get out of the testing area is, first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up books and see, what did I get wrong? You're going to want to look things up. Yeah. Do not do it. Do not. Put those books away, leave them alone, do not touch them. Just take a moment and take a deep breath in and celebrate what you have just accomplished. Whether you pass or fail, you've gotten to a point where most people don't. they don't reach that spot. You have completed one of the hardest exams that there are out there. That's another thing. And so you want to just kind of take that moment and celebrate yourself. And, you know, you want to reward your mind, body, and soul. You just took a very difficult exam. So plan something special, whether it's a pedicure or drinks with a girlfriend, or you want to go out to the bar or to an amusement park, whatever it is, a museum. I say plan something special for that day to celebrate. Celebrate that you took the exam, not celebrating did I pass or fail. That's going to be a different party. You just want to celebrate.
Absolutely. It's really important that you take the time to relax after you take that test, because all that anxiety that you get up to that test is all going to be gone after you take that test. And, you know, it's going to be real different. You're going to be some kind of exhausted, let me tell you, because it's very mentally draining. So you want to take the time to celebrate that you made it. Just be really happy that you accomplished something really big. It's really important that you celebrate your successes, because you did it. You made it to the test. So I think next we're going to go into talking a little bit about the clinical boards. And I think at this portion of the video, we kind of wanted to bring in Derek to kind of get some specific questions that he wanted to ask that'll help us kind of tailor our video to what you guys are most wanting to know. So go ahead.
Okay. A couple of things that were on my mind. One of them was like, what is the idea of this actually administrators that are on the floor? Are they these bulldogs that they've been talking about? Are they out to get us, or are they really there to, I guess, guide us in the right direction? I don't know. They say bad things. So clarification is needed.
Examiners do get that bad rep, but in my experience, I didn't have that. When I went to go take my exam, I was extremely nervous, and the chief examiner, I think, picked up on that, and she was so kind and so helpful. She really made me feel comfortable. There was a few times where she came over to check on me, and she was like, "Hey, Brooke, you know, well, they don't know your name, but look at the time, like, you know, keep an eye on the time," just kind of giving me little reminders. And it wasn't just me. I saw her go around and check on a lot of people. And so even before I turned in my paperwork, she kind of did like a second look on it, which she didn't have to, and was just like, are you ready to submit everything? And she was just very comforting, very kind. Mm-hmm. And so before I left, when I had found my ticket, my pass ticket, I actually went back into the room to say goodbye to her. I gave her a hug and I thanked her, just because she really did make the experience so much easier. And you're already so nervous, but they're not there to see you fail. They're there to see you succeed. They're here to assist you in that path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had the same experience. They're absolutely there to help you pass. They're not there particularly looking for ways for you to fail. They're there to make sure that you have everything. Their best to make sure you have everything together so that you don't get dinged for anything that you don't need to get dinged for, things that you can absolutely control, and just try to help you make it through what is a very stressful situation. Mm-hmm.
That's a relief, because I thought otherwise. Okay, so with that being said, well, like, what's an ideal patient? Like, what am I really looking for? Because they've told us the different things that we should be doing, but idealistically, what am I trying to get myself around?
Well, you really want to be super confident and knowing what the requirements are for your test. So from Brooke is in Colorado, I'm in Florida, and we take a completely different test. So whatever the requirements are for her test are different than requirements are for my test, or, you know, seemingly so. So you really want to make sure that you know what the requirements are for your test. You know it backwards and forwards, what surfaces that you need to have, how many teeth you need to have, if you need extra teeth, all of those kinds of things. You want to make sure that you know that back and forth. And then also, you really once you get to this point that you're taking the clinical boards, you've been practicing for 2 years at school. So you really want to be confident in your skills as a clinician. So you want to make sure that you are confident in your calculus detection skills, and know that if you get a click, then that's good enough. And you know that that's something that's going to work for the boards. You don't necessarily need to have a patient that has a full mouth of radiographic calculus. If you feel a click, then that's a good enough patient for you. You don't want to go in there with somebody that's too difficult, and you don't want to go in there with somebody that's too easy. So just really be confident. It's all about confident and knowing every aspect of that test.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, my last question to you is, like, I've heard not to pay a patient or to pay a patient. What's the carrot that we need to dangle? Like, I don't know, because really out here it's a lot of time. It's hard to find a patient to take all that time out their life and out their day.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got the same. I would hear from different instructors pay, I would hear don't pay. So in my experience, I actually didn't find my patient until 3 days before the exam. So I was freaking out. And then I was able to find a backup patient. And what I kind of just did what I felt was best. You can't control everybody and you can't control every situation. So one of my concerns was like if my patient was going to show up or not. So what I did was I actually paid for both of their travels. I paid for both of them to have a hotel room, and I had them drive up the night before. And then that was kind of the point where I just had to have faith and let go that, Lord, please make sure that they get to this testing site, because I was 3 hours away from the testing site. And then the next morning, I actually had them meet up with me an hour prior to us needing to leave the hotel room to go to the testing site. And I gave them both thank you cards, and I think I did pay them each about like $150 or something. So you kind of just have to do with what you feel is right, but you also have to know to a certain extent, you just have to have faith and kind of like let go, because realistically, if I had it my way, I would have made them all like, like get in the car with me the night before, and like we're all going to share a hotel room, like to make sure that you show up. But you know, there is a certain point where you just have to kind of let go. But also for me, it was important for me to pay them for both of their time, even though my first patient qualified, I didn't need the backup. But just the fact that he was willing to be there for me, because you know, that is your license. Your license does kind of depend on them to a certain degree. So they have that in their hands.
I also paid my patient. I gave her a thank you card, and I gave her $100. And I know, you know, once you get to this point in your program and you're at the end of your semester, you're pretty broke at this point, because I was running on fumes at this point. I was really broke. So what it kind of boils down to is just making your patient feel appreciated. Even if you say, hey, you know, I understand that you're taking all this time out of your schedule to help me out. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. In the future, I've got something really special planned for you. I've got you once I get my first paycheck, because without you, I can't get that paycheck. And I really want you to know how appreciative I am. So I know that not everybody has the capacity to do that at that time, but just make sure you let your patient know how appreciated they are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
Any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay.
I think y'all have answered most of the ones that I needed to.
Good. So this is our video for today. Next week, we're going to cover the topic of interviewing, which I know a lot of you are going to have a lot of questions about. So please make sure that you send messages to either Martell or myself or Brooke, and we can try to incorporate those into our next video. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you know whenever the videos drop. And we're just really excited to share this series with you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you, Derek, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Brooke, for having me.
Yeah.
Of course.